Hello, this is Coral again with my second video. Last time I gave you a brief idea of who I thought would like to read Of Power. In general, you've lived a while and you know that life isn't a fairy tale, but you'd like it to be. You know the small miracles are real. I know those personally, and maybe magic is as well. It's not a gentle book. There is adult content without being explicit. I figure you've got a good imagination. And a character swears frequently. Well, infrequently, sorry. And it's not a hard swear either. I would like to read my book to you, and I welcome comments. I hope to answer them in the next video. By the way, I'll chat now and then about various things, like now. Of Power begins with a prologue. In the writing community, some people don't think that the prologues are good to have at all, and some think that they are. But for this, my prologue is like a pre-chapter. It's important to the story. So there it is. I have a prologue. Also, this is my first book. I didn't have money to hire an editor. It could use a lot of work, but you know, it's my first book. I wrote one. Yay! If I have a chance to redo it, if I have a need, there's so much more I could do and it'd have a greater impact. But this is what it is. And I'm doing much better for the next book. Boy, there's so much to learn. Anyway, there's also a word that's possibly unfamiliar that will be mentioned in the prologue as thaumic. It relates to the magic of the world, something like a dimension which overlays our own. Mages in this story touch upon that element, and it's also within them, and it's a place they can go. So it covers a wide range of stuff. Anyway, here's my book, Of Power, and I'm going to read you the prologue. Prologue, Lady Behind the Curtain. The cute blonde knelt on the plush gray carpet of the meeting room, keeping her eyes focused on the brightly polished ebony shoes before her. Seated upon a formal chair was an imposing, heavy-set woman, resplendent in black silk with silver rings, bracelets, necklaces, and a glittering tiara in her flaxen hair as well. Let's add a prop here. My tiara. The cold gray hue of thunderclouds filled her eyes. The woman was angry. How could you fail us like this, Marcia? Did you not know how important it was for you to succeed? The calmness of her tone filled the girl with dread. She had heard her mother speak like this 2 years ago when Marcy wasn't even a tween yet. Within days, the boy who'd relentlessly bullied the matron's daughter found himself and his whole family relocated to Russia for no apparent reason. Even wrapped in a heavy, oversized coat, Marcy shivered. One did not oppose a Clayton without solid repercussions. Please forgive me, ma'am. I did know, and I failed you. I am sorry. She kept her head low and blinked away tears of fear. Everything had gone so wrong, and she didn't know what her punishment would be. All she could do now was follow the forms, expressing penance with her posture, and showing integrity by accepting and owning up to her shortcomings. The knock upon the door was unwelcome. It could only postpone her misery. Marcy crouched lower until her forearms rested on the carpet. The door attendant opened the portal, and a slight jingle of jewelry preceded the matron's response. Ah, it's you. Report. Casual shoes made soft sounds on the carpet, and a person walked across the room to stand beside Marcy, where she sheltered under Daddy's coat. She glimpsed past the edge of the jacket at the footwear, afraid they would be her father's boots, and gained scarce relief that they weren't. Marcy felt acutely vulnerable in the presence of this unfamiliar man, and was more grateful for the sweltering garment which surrounded her like a cave. No one could see her short skirt barely covering her underwear, and the frilly lace bra showing through the torn blouse. Yes, ma'am, the newcomer replied. The target is still commanded to stay in the administrative office while his supervisor and their employer study the scene. I don't have long. I've gone out to get coffee. The man carried no anger or fear in his voice. In fact, he sounded as emotionless as a guest lecturer in English class. Marcy deduced that he must have been satisfied with the situation. Maybe there was some chance she could still be a useful pawn for her mother. Maybe she would be redeemed. Quietly, she began to pray. "You are certain they will not discover our hand in matters?" Marcy listened for the slightest inflections in the matron's voice which would betray the woman's mood, and found only her mother's businesslike tone. 94% positive. Neither present signs of significant magical talent, and camcorders don't have the ability to record auras. Unless they call in a practitioner before people begin moving in and out of the area, any traces will be masked before someone using thaumic sight just happens by. The man's pant cuffs shifted slightly and rhythmically. He seemed restless, perhaps excited by his role in the attempted enthrallment. The matron paused briefly before responding. "Very well. You must make sure that something happens to smudge those traces. In fact, see if you can get our target to have you go in for something. Be invaluable to him, Cunningham. Maybe you can be the bait since my daughter failed the completion of the mission." Marcy felt the brunt of the accusation, yet her heart lifted somewhat. Man was still willing to acknowledge her as kin. "Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your target hasn't shown interest in men, only women." The discomfort in his voice was quite clear. Marcy paid close attention, forming a profile the way her mother had taught her. Clayton Society, male, white collar, straight. "Don't be naive," the woman chided. "You foolish men don't remember how seriously important it is to have friends and how hard it is to keep your hands off women friends. Be like those heroes in that show. Oliver Queen and John Diggle. Fight crime, kick butt, be buddies. He is vulnerable with his reputation on the line and is certain to cling to any friend who supports him in this time of strife. Bring him into the fold, Cunningham, and there may be a reward for you. Now go get coffee. Report to me again tomorrow." A jingle of bracelets told Marcy that her mother was shooing the man away, a light-hearted gesture. It was a good sign, a very good sign. "Yes, ma'am." Marcy heard his clothing rustle as he bowed, then his shoes slightly scuffed the carpet on the way to the door. She continued to wait, even though her legs were aching from the cramped position. At last the matron spoke. "On your feet, child. Report." It was difficult for Marcy to rise with grace and stand with proper posture after the extended time she had spent crouched, and her mother frowned with annoyance until Marcy got herself together. "Yes, ma'am," she began, anxious to please and yet worried about the punishment to come. "The man, Cunningham, is a friend of Mr. Greer. He is obedient to you. He doesn't like men that way." Marcy began to tremble. She couldn't think of anything else, and clearly her mother was not satisfied yet. "Oh, he drinks coffee." Destiny finally nodded at her child. "That is a good beginning. Now go record your information and clean yourself up. This is the most important lesson for you to learn tonight. You are going to fail, but you are not defeated until you quit. Now go." Marcy bowed and walked out of the room at a normal pace. She counted 15 careful steps down the hallway to her quarters before breaking into a run. Soon she could wash away the smudged lipstick, tidy her tousled hair, and dress in regular clothes again. She hadn't managed to entrap the mage, but she felt secure. There were enough groups moving around him. His protectors, the people trying to look like they weren't aiming to claim him for their society, and even the school board members who wanted the situation smothered. Her reputation would remain reasonably intact. Not quite so much, yes, but there was a chance it would all end well enough. Besides, Marcy didn't like Mr. Greer very much and was secretly glad that she didn't have to play through the planned intimate invitation. She'd failed, but would never be defeated. There was the prologue, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Do feel free to ask questions. I want to have more things I can tell you next time I record a video. I hope you have an awesome day. I really do. Take care. Bye.